Still, even with as well as they're doing, you still would like to see Jeff Fisher come in there.
Yeah, because he's defensive-minded.
I see.
We don't look. The Colts don't even need no offensive coach. Peyton Manning is the coach already.
I see. So yeah, I see what you're getting at. Right. Basically, player coach on the offensive side. Yeah, that wouldn't be so bad.
Fisher was defensive back at USC.
Yeah, I know that, and they played for the Bears as well. Carolina Panthers very quietly sort of getting it going there. They're 2-3 now. Giving 7.5, though. Well, who must they be playing? How could the Panthers, as bad as they were coming out of the gate, who could they be? Oh, it's the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 2-4. A nice win, actually, last week in northern New Jersey. What do you think about this one? The Bills' defense, was it more Mark Sanchez, or is the Bills' defense halfway decent there? I think the Bills are so destroyed with injuries on defense, it's got to be Sanchez's failure. I say that the Panthers expose that Bills defense and run all over them.
You know, the Jets, if they wouldn't have had that mess up on that field goal in overtime, they would have still won, even though Sanchez threw all them picks.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to expect that Mark Sanchez is going to go through those growing pains, and the people can't be getting down on the kid. Peyton Manning was 3-13 in his first year and threw the most interceptions ever.
Yeah, it's New York is a different standard, and he came out of the gate playing well and got everybody's hopes up. So I can sort of relate to it, except if you're a Jets fan, you should be used to, at this point, getting your hopes up early in the season and then having them dashed the longer the season goes on.
I wish I could be the fan for everybody's team, man, and I'd tell them.
Maybe you could do that. Maybe the people could pay you some sort of a fixed rate to do that for them.
Yeah, I'd be like a fan consultant. And I would tell them, listen, I'd be realistic, like with your team, the Steelers. I'd say, listen, you're not that great, but hey, you get 8 home games. Be happy.
All right, see, I already feel a little bit better. Now the pressure's off the rest of the season. Never mind about the chance of repeating.
Take care of the Bills.
What's that?
The Panthers will take care of the Bills.
I agree.
They can't get the ball to T.O., man.
Yeah. Well, and maybe he's finally old.
He might be washed up, man.
That's right. Yeah, he might be old. It's interesting that you didn't see him moved. It's interesting that he was not dealt away. Yeah. Leads me to believe that no calls were put in there because there's
one reason why I hate the Colts ownership.
Well, nobody did it. There's no logic in the Bills holding on to him. Like I say, it leads me to believe that no one inquired about his availability.
But like when that Randy Moss kid was available, the Colts let the Patriots just slip right in there and get him. Why would they not try to get him? Because at that time they had Harrison and Reggie Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine Moss, Wayne, and Harrison together?
Well, yeah, I mean that's the nightmare. There was talk for a little while that it would be Terrell Owens going to the Raiders. Can you imagine Al Davis overseeing Randy Moss and Terrell Owens as his 2 wide receivers at one time? That would be
the only quarterback who could throw to those 2 guys at the same time would be Jeff George, and you'd have to get Jeff George out of retirement and bring him.
That would be great. Yeah, that wouldn't be. I'd definitely not miss a minute of any of their games if that ever happened. Speaking of the Raiders, they are at home after their win against the Eagles, the most inexplicable victory so far this NFL season. Guess who's there? Sanchez and the Jets. 3-3 now, reeling. They're giving 6.5 at the Raiders. I thought before the season, looking at the schedule, that the Raiders had a shot at going, say, 7-9. They still have a couple games against those lousy AFC West teams. They might get there. They might still get there. This is a game that all of a sudden feels like they might be able to win it. But no, I'm going with Ryan to stop the bleeding here. Sanchez gets it going just enough. They're going to cover that. It's a big number, though. 6.5, traveling across the country for it. Against my better judgment, I'm going Jets there.
I'm saying Jets going to have back-to-back overtime losses.
Ooh, wow. So specific with your picks there. All right, Cincinnati Bengals, another team that, I guess you would say disappointing. They're at home against the Houston Texans. They lose by double digits there. Big game. This is, I think, as big a game for the 2 teams playing it as there is this weekend. The Bengals are at home. They're 4-2. They're still sharing first place with the Steelers. The Bears are rolling in there. Hard to figure out what's going on with them. Their one win against Pittsburgh was a dicey one. They haven't been terribly impressive very often. But I'm waiting for Jay Cutler to break through. On the other side of the thing, there's not really much of a defense to speak of when you're talking about the Bears at this point. Tough one. Bengals are at home, giving 1.5. Cedric Benson wants to humiliate the Bears. Now the Bears don't like that he's been talking trash about them. So who's going to win that one? Who's going to win that battle within the bigger game? I'm going to go. I'm going to buy the Bengals defense here and say that the Bengals get it done at home, given the 1.5. How say you?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. You want to hear it?
I'm anxiously waiting. Yes.
All right. Well, listen. Jay Cutler as a starter is like 17-21. He hasn't had a winning season since he was a high school player. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
I think you've mentioned it before. It is good insight.
Now listen. Kyle Orton is 21-12 as a starter. Mm-hmm. And guess what Rex Grossman was as a starter? He was 19-12.
How about that?
And these Bears think that they made such a great move. Get old Jake Cutler and
I can see why though. The way he slings it, I'll tell you.
That guy's a bum. That guy's the biggest bum. So what? A guy named Bill Kinney for the Kansas City Chiefs used to sling the ball 4,000 yards a year.
Yep, I remember number 9.
Yeah. So listen, there's been a lot of gunslingers going around, man. But there's something about some players that just got winning attitudes and they got winning in their heart. And Kyle Orton and Rex Grossman both was winners.
Well, I'll tell you.
Let them both go.
Grossman
get them to the Super Bowl.
I don't know that Rex Grossman counts as a winner, but yeah, it's a good point.
Wait a minute. Why would he not? If he's 19-12 as a starter, why is he not considered a winner? Because of 3 games that he had bad after Steve Young on ESPN Countdown called him the next Joe Montana.
I don't even remember him doing that, but
well, you got to do it the day before the night before they played the Cardinals on Monday night. Go to ESPN archives. You'll see what they say.
All right, I'll dig it up. But what about the
yeah, I know. I'm telling you, I know it all.
And I also feel like that this is a huge game. You know, the Bears, after that terrible opening performance against the Packers, the Bears needed a win. They got one. I don't want to say got lucky, but they got lucky against the Steelers that Jeff Reed missed a couple of kicks there. Otherwise, they would have really been in the hole. Now I think they're back to that place. They lose that game down in Atlanta there. You know, they got pretty close to tying the game up, but they didn't get it done there. If they lose this one to Cincinnati, I think there's going to be mounting pressure from Chicago fans on Cutler. They're right on the edge there. That's why I say this is a big one. Plus, if they lose this one, they fall back to 500. The Vikings are 6-0 right now. The Packers are playing well. They're going to be falling further and further back. I mean, their shot at winning the division, it will pretty much go out the window if they don't win this one. If they do, though, they get to 4-2. If the Steelers help them out and beat those Vikings, then they're realistically even still in contention for the North Crown there. Bengals, though, they lose this one. They're out of first place unless the Steelers also lose, which that might happen. But so it's a big game for both of these teams in terms of the playoff picture, as big as you can get before the halfway point in the season, I would say. So I'm going with the Bengals, and you're obviously, based on what you said, you're going Bengals too.
I'm saying AFC.